salutations, my dearest friends. My name is Samantha, and today I'm going to be giving some novella recommendations for the Novellathon. Hello, how are you? Welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to the Novellathon. If you don't know what the Novellathon is, it is a readathon that I host with my dear friends Tiffany over at Tiff Talks Pages, Rachel from Rachel Reads and Sings, and Avery from Ava's Romance Books. We all love novellas so much. We're all mood readers, and novellas are just like that perfect palate cleanser. So we occasionally host the Novellathon, which is essentially a week or a weekend where we read a bunch of novellas. It doesn't just have to be romance novellas. It could be horror, cozy mystery, whatever genre you want. Have lipstick on my teeth. If I have lipstick on my teeth, tell me, okay? Awesome, great. It's so crazy because we have actually been doing this Novellathon for a year. The first time we did it was during Halloween. So we decided to bring back Novellathon for spooky season, and we are going to have a week of just fall activities, spooky things, have fun live shows and reading sprints and a buddy pick, and we're just really excited. So if you want even more information, check out our Instagrams because Tiffany made a ton of graphics that you can post your TBR on. We have like different prompts and even a giveaway. So make sure to check out our Instagrams. Everyone's socials will be linked down below. In today's video, I wanted to recommend some of my favorite novellas, and I'm going to go through all of the prompts that we have and recommend you a book to hit each prompt. If you love novellas as much as I do have a novella playlist here on my channel that I'll link down below. All of the videos I've done on novellas, and I've done a lot, will be linked down below. I recently just posted a really fun video where I read a Halloween or fall themed novella every single day for a month. So I have like 30 plus novellas read in that video. It's like a 2-hour video. It's so long, but it was so fun to film. So if you want even more recommendations, that will also be linked down below. We do have a couple prompts that you could build your TBR off of. I do want to say though that this Novellathon is just vibes, okay? We really don't take anything too seriously. It's just to have a really good time. So read whatever you want. It doesn't necessarily have to be paranormal or Halloween themed. It's just, you know, if you want to join us, we do have some prompts that you can follow. We start off by talking about our buddy pick. We will have a live show on October 20th on my channel talking about this book, and it is Boo Thang by Risley Adams. I actually have already read this novella, and I loved it so much that I kind of convinced the girls to pick this as our buddy pick because I want everyone to read it, and I feel like a lot of you will enjoy it as well. Risley Adams is a phenomenal novella author. You can find a lot of her books on Kindle Unlimited, but this one is perfect because it is set during Halloween. It follows our characters Piper and Zeke and is a best friend's brother trope. It also has an age gap with an older heroine, which is one of my favorite tropes. The hero Zeke has been hopelessly in love with his older sister's best friend Piper for as long as he can remember, but he has definitely been in the friend zone and kind of seen as like this annoying younger brother until his 30th birthday. He is grown and he is sexy, and they share quite a passionate, steamy kiss and realize they have a lot of chemistry with one another. Piper does not want anything to do with him because she doesn't want to ruin the friendship that she has with her best friend, but she is a Halloween baby and she's supposed to spend her birthday in Mexico with her best friend. However, she can't go because of unforeseen circumstances, and guess who ends up joining Piper on her Halloween birthday trip? Our hero, Zeke. He ends up joining her. The two of them decide that they're going to go on this vacation and kind of, you know, have a friends with benefits situation going on to get each other out of their system. But of course, real feelings develop, and it is so fun. It's steamy, it's sweet, and God, I love this hero. Like, I love him so much. He's so sexy. He's just like the epitome of a book boyfriend, you know? So if you're looking for a really sweet and steamy Halloween themed novella, Boo Thang is our buddy pick, and it does mark off quite a few prompts. It hits the BIPOC author prompt. It also hits the orange on the cover prompt, and I would consider this a cozy read too. You could also read this as you are drinking a fall drink, which is another prompt. So this one read, our buddy pick, will give you a lot of spots on the bingo board. Right, I'm going to go ahead and start with my recommendations for the rest of the prompts. So the first prompt is cozy, and you could really do anything with this prompt. You could read a cozy small town romance. You could read a cozy mystery, which is what I'm going to recommend to you right now. The cozy mystery I'm going to recommend to you is Newlywed and Slightly Dead by Daniel Garrett. This is a new-ish release to me. I just read it a couple weeks ago, and I really enjoyed it. It is a fun paranormal cozy cozy mystery. Paranormal is another prompt, so this will actually hit 2 prompts. And this one follows our heroine, who is a wedding planner in Seattle for the supernatural community. She has been working her way up at this event planning business, and like her dream has always been to be a wedding planner. So she ends up getting a really large contract for a vampire king. What makes this contract a little bit difficult is the wedding party does not get along. The groom is a vampire and the bride is a human, which is very uncommon. The groom's family is not happy about it whatsoever, and things take quite a turn when the mother-in-law is found dead. Heroine finds herself in the middle of all of it as she is desperately trying to make this wedding still happen. It's a really fun cozy mystery. I feel like the mystery aspect was well crafted, but I also really love all of the side characters, and there's also a subtle romance in this book. Our heroine has a little flirtation with the detective on the scene, and it is just so fun. I think this entire series is 3 books in total. First book is definitely my favorite because I feel like it was the best crafted mystery. It is 182 pages. For me, I consider novellas anything less than 200, so this hit right on the mark. Another cozy mystery that I think will be so perfect for this prompt is the Vampire Knitting Club. This one is technically like Christmas themed, but you could read it now if you wanted to, and that is Stockings and Spells by Nancy Warren. It is the 4th book in the Vampire Knitting Club series and is one of her novellas. The series is so much fun. It follows our heroine who lives in Oxford, and she has inherited her grandmother's knitting shop. She's actually really bad at knitting, so she's struggling to like run this shop, and she also discovers that she comes from a very long line of witches, so she's also learning how to control her magic. In this town, there are all types of paranormal creatures, but especially vampires. I mean, it is called the Vampire Knitting Club. Stockings and Spells is really fun. Our heroine is at a Christmas market selling some of her knitted goods that the vampires have been making, and unfortunately, one of the vendors is found choked out with one of the stockings that she made. So she definitely needs to figure out what is going on to clear her name. This also kind of gives like Agatha Christie vibes, which is why I'm including it in the cozy aspect, is because there is a very popular horror like mystery author that is doing a book signing in this area in this book as well. So just so many vibes. There's vampires, a black cat. I feel like even though it's kind of gearing towards a Christmas theme, you can still fit it into this prompt. The 2 books that I am planning to read to fulfill this prompt is Spookly Yours by Jennifer Chipman. This one is a little over 200 pages. I think it's like 220, but the author themselves is marketing it as a novella, so I'm going to count it. It's described as a spicy, open-door, Halloween-themed novella featuring a witch and the demon who falls in love with her. I have started this a couple times and read other books by this author, but I've been saving this specific book for Halloween, so I desperately need to read it. It follows our heroine who is a witch and her black cat who actually turns out to be a demon who was cursed. So it's giving all the cozy vibes, don't you think? So I definitely want to read this one. I also recently added another one to my TBR because I saw Tiffany reading it, and it's called For the Love of Fritters and Frights by J.D. Linton, and this one is also described as a cozy Halloween novella. So lots of books that you could kind of fit into this prompt, and let's move on to the next prompt because I could probably talk about cozy books all day long. Next prompt is a small town, and a lot of the books that I just mentioned actually could fit into that prompt, but the one I want to talk about is the Hot and Haunted series by Casey Mint. This is such a fun Halloween themed duo. Casey Mint is a novella author that I'm quite familiar with. I've read a lot of her backlist and I just love it so much. Sorry, I have the hiccups, by the way. She kind of gives me like the sweeter Jessica Cain vibes, and what I really love about her books is sometimes she will pick a theme or a trope and write a bunch of novellas around that. They can be read as standalones or they can be read together, and that is how her Hot and Haunted series is. It takes place in a small town that is supposedly haunted and known for their ghostly sightings. The first book is called Bump in the Night. It follows our heroine who is obsessed with Halloween and obsessed with everything spooky, and she lives in a town that is notorious for ghost sightings, but she has actually never experienced any paranormal activity herself. So she ends up working at a hotel that is notoriously haunted in the hopes to see something. Anything. As she's working there, she meets our hero who is staying for the night, and he is a very famous horror author, and he's staying there to get like some inspiration. The two of them go literally ghost hunting around this hotel, and it follows the romance. I honestly loved this one so much because it was so unhinged. Our two characters are absolutely obsessed with each other. The second they meet, they're like, oh yeah, I already have our wedding song planned out. like, I'm obsessed with you. And I love that. It was unhinged, but in the best way. The second book I actually ended up loving even more, and it is Shiver Me Timbers. This one is an age gap romance. Our hero in this book is actually our heroine's dad's best friend, but her dad has unfortunately passed away. So he made a promise to his best friend before he died that he was going to make sure that his daughter was safe and protected and looked after. So the two of them live together, and they also run a business together. They have this boat where they will take people on different tours to see ghosts and paranormal activity. Two of them are hunting out different areas to add to their tour, and they end up bumping into quite a meddlesome ghost that is kind of wanting them to be together. It follows their romance. It is really sweet and, again, unhinged. If you're looking for a small town novella to read that has a paranormal aspect, I highly recommend these two books. Another small town romance that I absolutely adore is by one of my favorite authors, and that is Marina Vivancos. And this is probably my favorite book ever. Not just like a novella, it's just my favorite book ever. So of course I had to include it in this video, and that is Divine River. This one is a male-male small town romance. Also has a friends to lovers trope, and it follows our characters Mike and Jason. Mike comes from a very small town and a family that is not that accepting. His entire life he has known that he was gay, but he didn't really know how to express it. As he's getting older, he also realizes that he loves to be both masculine and feminine and finding the balance of that. All of this is happening. He ends up getting a new neighbor, Jason, and the two of them instantly become friends. This is a romance, but it's also really following Mike's journey as he is discovering his sexuality. It is one of the most emotional and sweepingly romantic books that I've ever read about, because you are following Mike as he is learning how to love himself and become his true self, as he is simultaneously falling in love with his best friend. It is so sweet and so emotional and such great representation for the queer community. Like, I really want everyone to read this book because it's so fucking good. But yeah, that also technically fits the small town romance trope. Next up is a paranormal romance, and there are so many. I have tons of favorites, like Stalked by the Kraken by Lillian Lark, which is a romance between a kraken and a witch. Lillian Lark also has another book called Three of Hearts, and that is a poly romance between a werewolf, a demon, and a harpy. It's a poly romance between two guys and one girl. I also love Mated by the Huntress by Talia Hibbert, which is a romance between a werewolf and a werewolf hunter. And then recently, one that I really enjoyed was called Blood Moon by Gillian Graves. This one is a romance between a witch and a vampire. This one is really fun. It's an enemies to lovers romance. Our heroine is a witch who owns a bar, and she has really been overworking herself, and she ends up meeting a vampire, and they have like a very steamy one-night stand. Later on, she realizes that he is actually the business owner of the business that is moved across the street from her, and they're kind of business rivals. He feels like he is spying on her and trying to steal her customers. Really, he's like totally obsessed with her. This one is fun because it's kind of like a grumpy pairing. Both of our characters are a little prickly, but they fit so well together. So this one is a really fun paranormal or monster romance to pick up. Another book that would really fit like the monster paranormal trope is a graphic novel, and that is Fangs by Sarah Anderson. This is a romance between a vampire and a werewolf, and it is so cozy because it's just like following them as they're falling in love and just like regular life, and the graphics are so freaking cute. This is honestly like one of my favorite graphic novels as well, and it is perfect for this prompt. Next one is a book by a BIPOC author, and like I said, our buddy pick by Risley Adams fits that prompt. Another one that I read recently is Hell of a Bargain by BP Gilmore. This is described as a cozy autumn tale of a curvy witch and her demon, so it also fits the cozy romance prompt as well as a paranormal or monster prompt. Our heroine is a witch, and she's trying to make a sacrifice to a goddess. However, the sacrifice goes a little wrong, and she ends up summoning a demon, our hero, and it follows their very steamy, fun romance. Another prompt is a queer romance or anything with LGBTQ representation, which you guys know I love so much. You know I have a recommendation for this one. I actually have a sapphic one that I love a lot. I read it recently. It's called Bite Me Twice by J.S. Jasper. Sorry if I keep looking down. I have like all my notes here. This one is a sapphic vampire romance. Our heroine is a vampire, like a century-old vampire, and she ends up meeting our other heroine when she is almost getting mugged. One is trying to steal her purse, so our heroine, who is a vampire, steps in to save her, but our other heroine definitely does not need a saving. She's a little bit of a spitfire. They kind of go their separate ways, but they end up meeting again at a bakery because one of our heroines work there, and they decide to go out on a date and have some fun, steamy time. This is a really fun vampire romance. If you like sapphic vampires, you should probably read the OG, the original queen of sapphic vampires, and that is Carmilla. This is technically a classic, and it is a gothic horror book that I love so much. It predates Dracula and has inspired so much vampiric literature, but is also a staple in the queer sapphic community. So it follows our heroine Laura, who grows up in a isolated mansion. At the beginning of the book, you can kind of see that she has had experiences with the supernatural community and vampires, but she doesn't really know what's going on. Now that she's a little bit older, she's very lonely because she lives on this isolated estate with just her family and the staff. One day there is a carriage accident in front of her mansion, and that is where she meets a young girl named Carmilla who appears to be injured. They invite her into their home to, rest and heal. They don't realize is they're inviting a monster into their home. Okay, Carmilla is a vampire. Love this classic so freaking much. I really love this edition in particular because it is illustrated. Like, look at those illustrations. So stunning. So technically not a romance, but it is a huge staple in the queer community, so I thought I would recommend it, and I really do love it so much. It does count as a novella because I think it's only like 132 pages. Even though it is a classic, it feels and reads so incredibly like modern, so love that one. If you want a graphic novel, I recommend Love Potion by Cindy Paul. This is a romance between a witch and a princess, and it is also illustrated. Because it's illustrated and a graphic novel, it just reads very quickly. Let me see if I can find some more illustrations. How stunning. Our heroine Blair is a witch, and she has been secretly pining after the princess of the kingdom, never really expecting it to go anywhere until the princess walks into her shop to purchase a love potion. It's cute, it's sapphic. I think Tiffany actually gifted this to me, and it became like one of my favorite graphic novels. So thank you, Tiffany. Of course, I also have to recommend Marina Vivancos because she is quite literally the best of the best of the best when it comes to queer love stories. I could rave about her endlessly, and I have on my channel. I talk about her a lot, actually. Books range from full-length novels to novellas. A novella that I think a lot of you would enjoy is I've Walked Where You've Been, and this is a novella about literal soulmates. So our two characters, Maddie and Ethan, exist in a world where soulmates exist, meaning that everyone has a designated soulmate and you are tied together. And most people meet their soulmates when they're older, like in their 20s or their 30s, but our two heroes end up meeting each other when they're very young, at like 9 years old. And the thing is that they have to physically be around each other all of the time, or they will feel a soulmate sickness. This soulmate tether that they have does not allow them to be a large distance away from each other, and they end up resenting their soulmate bond because they're complete opposites. We have one hero who is very introverted and likes to stay inside and read, and another hero who is very extroverted and loves to play sports. Cannot be more different, and they really do not understand why fate has pulled them together. They end up resenting each other for a good portion of their lives until they are about to go to college. They start to feel a little bit differently and want to really try and see why fate has destined them to be soulmates. It's a story about our characters giving each other grace and learning to love each other despite their differences. It's less than 100 pages, but it really packs a punch. It is giving everything a full-length novel is giving, and I love it. I love it so much. Next one is a book that has orange on the cover. A lot of the books I mentioned have orange on the cover, but one that I really want more people to read is Anyone and You by Jack Whitney. The book follows our characters Des and Axel, and the two of them actually get set up on a blind date by their friends. They're supposed to meet up at a pumpkin patch. I mean, how much cozy and fall does that get? But when they meet, they realize that they actually know each other and they're neighbors. The two of them end up deciding to go on the date anyways. They have been like secretly pining after each other for a really long time, so now they're just going for it, and they spend a really fun date at the pumpkin patch. Sounds cute. but it's actually very, very steamy. Okay, there's a little voyeurism moment going on. Our hero is so sexy in this book and I really loved it. So this is like the perfect fall read. I have a couple of other prompts, but this video is getting long and I definitely want to edit it so I can post it today, the first day of the Novellathon. I'm planning on doing some reading vlogs. I don't know if I'm going to do daily reading vlogs or every other day, but I will start to recommend more novellas in those reading vlogs as well. Yeah, that's it. Hopefully you found some novellas to add to your TBR. Your TBR in the comments down below. If you stayed this long and you enjoyed the video or you're joining us for the Novellathon, leave me an emoji. What emoji should you leave me? Give me a vampire emoji because I recommended some sapphic vampire books that I really want you guys to read. So leave me a vampire emoji if you stayed this long and you enjoyed the video. As always, thank you for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. It means the world to me. I hope you guys are all staying happy and healthy and I will see you in the next video. Bye!